So, I'm a 30-year-old guy, a civil engineer. My life is pretty straightforward. I plan things, I build things, I like stability. For the last 4 years, I thought I was building a solid life with my fiancée. We were just 6 months away from the wedding. Venue booked, deposits paid, the whole 9 yards. I felt like everything was on a solid foundation. Then one Tuesday, while I was making dinner, she completely blew it all up. She was just standing in the kitchen doorway, not really looking at me, fiddling with a ring on her finger. Not the engagement ring, a different one. She just says, "I need a break." The words felt so out of place. I turned off the stove and asked her, "A break? From what? We're getting married in 6 months." She finally looked at me, and her face was this weird mix of sorry and defiant. "I'm just confused," she said. "I need space to think, to make sure this is what I really want before we take such a huge step. It's not fair to you if I'm not 100% sure." It sounded like she'd rehearsed it from some self-help blog. It was the right thing to say, but her tone was cold. I asked her what a break even meant. "Are we seeing other people? Do we talk?" "No, of course not," she said way too fast. "It's not about other people. It's about me. I just need time alone. I'll go stay with my parents. We just shouldn't talk for a bit. Let me get my head straight." The way she said it put me in a corner. She was doing this for us, so if I argued, I was a bad guy, the insecure one. So, like an idiot, I agreed. I even helped her pack a bag. She gave me this quick, cold kiss on the cheek and just left. The apartment was dead silent after that. For the first few days, I did what she asked. No calls, no texts. I figured I'd give her the space she wanted. The quiet was awful, but I kept telling myself it was the best. Then, about a week into the so-called break, a friend sent me a screenshot on my phone. No comment, just a picture. It was a post from her social media. There she was at some trendy wine bar, laughing it up, with her arms slung around her ex-boyfriend. The caption was, "Some things are just meant to be, so good to reconnect." I just stared at that picture for a minute. Reconnect. This was the ex she was with for 5 years before me. The guy she always said was toxic and manipulative. But in that picture, she looked happier than I'd seen her in a long, long time. I didn't do anything. I didn't call her out, didn't text her. I just saved the screenshot to my phone. A few days later, another picture. This one was tagged by one of her friends. A group of them went on a weekend cabin trip. And there, in the back of the group photo, was my fiancé with her ex. His hand was planted firmly on her lower back. Then came more posts. A dinner date here, a Sunday hike there. She wasn't even being subtle about it. She was flaunting this whole thing online for all our friends to see, while I was supposedly giving her space to think about our marriage. It finally clicked. This wasn't a break. It was a test drive with her ex, and I was a reliable old car. She was keeping the garage just in case. That's when the sadness turned into something else. My engineer brain kicked in. This wasn't a relationship problem anymore. It was a demolition and cleanup project. First thing I did was check our apartment lease. It was in my name only from before she moved in. Huge relief. Next, I went to the bank. We had a joint savings account for the wedding. I calmly explained the situation, showed proof that most of the money came from my paychecks, and had my contributions moved to a new personal account. I left her exact contributions in the old one. It wasn't a lot. Then I went to Home Depot and bought a ton of boxes and tape. I spent the next few days methodically packing up every single thing she owned. Her clothes, her shoes, her books, all of it. I was careful with her stuff, labeling every box. I treated her things with more respect than she was treating me. While I was packing her desk, I found a journal. I know I shouldn't have, but I looked. The last few entries were all about him. Turns out she'd accidentally run into him a month before our break. She wrote about how the spark was still there and how she had to see if it was the real deal before she settled down. Settled. That single word told me everything. I paid a moving company to take all her boxes to a storage unit and paid for the first 3 months. The apartment felt huge and empty, but it felt clean. I spent the afternoon calling the venue, the caterer, the photographer. I told them all the wedding was off. I lost a few grand in deposits, but it felt like a small price to pay to get my life back. I also sent a very polite, very neutral email to her parents, saying that we were having some issues and the wedding was on hold. I didn't give them any ammo. I was just quietly dismantling the life we had built. During all this, I found out an interesting little detail about her ex. He worked at a big architectural firm that my company sometimes works with. Not only that, he's the son of a senior partner there, a guy my own father knows from the industry. It's a small world. I filed that little bit of info away for later. I didn't do anything with it. I just waited. I went to work, hit the gym, saw my friends, and completely ignored the messages from her friends asking what was going on. I let her have her little online story. I stayed silent. 5 weeks to the day after she left, my phone rings. It's her. Her tone was so light and breezy, like she was calling to ask if I wanted pizza. "Hey," she said. "So, I've had my time to think, and I got the clarity I needed." I could practically hear her smiling. The break is over. I'm ready to come home, and we can start planning the wedding again. She really thought she could just snap her fingers and I'd come running. She thought she held all the power, that I was just sitting in the dark, waiting for her to flip the switch back on. I took a breath and kept my voice perfectly level. "I agree, the break is over," I said. "So, is this relationship?" The silence on her end was immediate. It was like I could feel her brain short-circuiting. "What?" she finally managed to say. "What are you talking about? You can't do that." "I just did," I told her. Her voice went from 0 to 100. The breezy act vanished, replaced by pure panic. We were on a break. That was the deal. There were rules. You don't get to just end it because you're mad. I was working on myself for US. I almost laughed. Rules? What rules? Was there a rule that you get to go shack up with your ex, and I'm supposed to just wait patiently? I must have missed that memo. "That's not what happened, and you know it," she shrieked. "He's a friend. He was supporting me. You're just twisting this because you're insecure. Your social media tells a different story," I said calmly. "But it doesn't matter now. We're done." I told her that all of her belongings were safe in a storage unit, and I texted the address and the key code. I told her all the wedding vendors had been canceled. I told her our joint account was dissolved. She started crying then, but it wasn't sad crying. It was the angry, frustrated tantrum of a kid who's been told no. "My stuff? You moved my stuff? You had no right. I live there." "No, you don't," I said. "The lease is in. My name. You were a guest, and you left 5 weeks ago. As for my right, I think you gave that up when you decided our engagement was something you could just pause." Then I added the finishing touch. "And I'll be needing the engagement ring back. It's been in my family for generations. My lawyer can send a formal request if that's easier for you." She completely lost it, screaming insults, threats. I just listened until she was done, said goodbye, and hung up. Then I blocked her number. An hour later, there was pounding on my door. It was her, screaming my name. I put on my noise-canceling headphones and started reorganizing my bookshelf. Eventually, she gave up. Then my phone started blowing up with texts from her parents and friends, all calling me a monster. I blocked them all. The next day, I decided it was time to use that piece of info about the ex. I called my dad, told him everything, and sent him the screenshots. My dad was livid. He understood the professional angle immediately. He made a call to the ex's father. It wasn't a threat, just a chat between two guys in the same industry. He laid out the facts. His son was very publicly dating an engaged woman, my fiancée, and could get very embarrassing for their family, and their firm. The story got out. The effect was immediate. The ex's dad must have lowered the boom, because within a day, every picture of my ex-fiancée was gone from the guy's social media. He called her and broke it off, saying he didn't want to be in the middle of all this drama. So she torched her engagement for a guy who dropped her the second things got a little complicated. She failed her audition and found out her safety net was gone, too. Her last stand was showing up at my apartment a week later with her parents in tow. They ambushed me when I was getting home from work. Her dad got in my face, telling me I was making a huge mistake and had humiliated his little girl. I just stared at him. Your daughter humiliated herself. She made her choice. These are the consequences. Her mom started with the tears, begging me not to throw it all away over a little mistake. A 5-week mistake she posted online for the world to see? I said, "No, I don't think so." My ex-fiancée finally spoke, her voice full of poison. "You'll regret this. You'll never find anyone who loves you like I did. From what I've seen lately," I said, "that's the whole point." I walked right past them, unlocked my door, and closed it behind me. The ring showed up at my lawyer's office a week later. Looking back, her break wasn't about finding clarity. It was about seeing if she could trade up. Her insistence on rules for the break showed her whole mindset. The rules were only for me. I was supposed to wait patiently on the shelf. She learned the hard way what happens when the guy you put on hold decides to hang up for good.